Hola, mi movie AAR family.
Familia.
Familia. Movie AAR familia. Okay, everybody, welcome back. It's Movie AAR. This is John Scardina and Patrick McGinn, co-host of your favorite movie after action review podcast. So today we're talking about the movie Encanto. It has a lot of really applicable things to emergency management. Houses get destroyed, a house gets destroyed, families are impacted, communities rise up, infrastructure is impacted, mountains break in half, all kinds of crazy stuff that's happening. And so just to set up the scene that we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about towards the end of the movie. So if you haven't watched Encanto, pump the brakes. We're actually going to give the entire story away.
Yeah, we're giving it all away.
We're giving it all away. Yeah, this is like a requirement. You should probably watch the movie. So it's really well done. But essentially, just set up the stage of the finale. Our main character, Patrick Mirabel.
Mirabel. Can they hear her sing when she's singing, or is it just like...
Maybe that's her superpower. The house is breaking apart. It's a representation of the family breaking apart. They're not getting along, but the house physically is starting to crack, break. You see at one point, Bruno, he's trying to repair the house, technically as an amateur because he's been stuck in the house for like 20 years, but with like sand and water. And so he's not really doing much to repair. The house keeps breaking down. They're not mitigating the problem correctly. And the town is noticing there's like cracks in the town. There's problems happening. Storms are happening. And as people get more caught up in their daily life, like an engagement party gets messed up, they stop noticing the things that they really should be focusing on and saving their house. So eventually, because of ignoring the problem, it gets too late and there's mayhem. Everyone's trying to get all their favorite stuff, the candle, the magical candle, that's
all they're really trying to get.
I guess, yeah.
They're trying to get that and get everyone out of the house.
Okay, I guess your family's important, but they're trying to get the candle and they're trying to get the family out of the house. The house breaks, but you also see giant cracks in their roads. The mountain splits in half, as noted. And so it's opening it up to the outside world, which they were kind of cut off before from the outside world that you learned earlier in the movie. And they have to recover. So that is a very long explanation of where we're at. House is crumbled and they got to repair it, and they eventually repair it by working with their community to repair it. Did I miss anything?
All the wild animals escaped from the room that you're in. You're trying to evacuate your house and a leopard is running at you, trying to also escape.
Yeah, and he's not going to take the time to like be gentle around you.
And your brother was so desperate to get out of the house, he went through the wall, and he probably has a concussion.
An exterior wall. All he had was
damage.
Tin can on his head. Okay, Patrick. Real versus fake.
Real is people, maybe real and fake is people avoiding the cracks in the house, avoiding fixing the problem. The last house I lived in had a bunch of cracks that were growing larger and larger over time. And we told the landlord and nobody came out to fix it. So showing that they really didn't care that much. If you don't have the money to take care of it, or you don't have the desire to take care of it, it still could be a significant vulnerability to if there are cracks that you can see, there might be deeper cracks on the inside.
That was deep.
So yeah, people not doing anything about blatant house structural issues. Yeah, I would say that's probably realistic. But also families ignoring family issues. That's a tough spot for everybody. Everyone does it. Sometimes they blow up. Sometimes they bring down the house, like in this case. I'd say the
large family living in a single dwelling.
Yes, yeah, a huge family living in a single dwelling. For some reason, their house is the only big house on the block.
Yeah, no wonder the whole community notices anytime something happens, because like they are the family. They're the family that has it together. They're the family that has all the resources. People go to them to get healed, to get engaged. Like it's like a big deal to pair up with that family. And so of course the drama or the complexity to show people that you still have everything under control. Is that weight would be pretty heavy on Abuela.
The community coming together to help rebuild, that's realistic, to show up and help others respond, for sure. Fake would be the magic. I would say that the magic was not real.
You and I went to a magic show in Las Vegas, like not only a few weeks ago.
We did, and it didn't look like that. Actually,
it actually didn't look like magic either.
It
like,
did.
It looked more like ball in the guy's hand as he's moving it. Did you notice that? We never talked about that. So that was pretty rough.
Yeah, that was rough.
I chose the activities, and I didn't realize that I actually booked like a children's magic show.
Yes, I think that's
like straight up children's magic.
Award-winning books that prepare children for disaster, check. Written by Dr. Heather Beal, check. Easy way to learn in a healthy environment, check. Endorsing cool people with great ideas, check, check, check. Grab a copy today at thereadinesslab.com/shop.
Smart people buy Instinct Ready Go bags. It's all the cool things. Upgraded emergency preparedness, multiple options designed for every home, created by first responders, and they were even featured on the New York Times. Go to thereadinesslab.com/shop or click on the link below to pick up your bag today.
Land ahoy!
As far as like what EMs are doing in this situation,
let's talk about the work.
Before there were emergency managers, there were just villages and tribes, and actually that was long before there were emergency managers. There were a couple things in between there, but there were just tribes and there were just families that helped each other out. And especially in Europe and other places, in Africa and Asia and other continents that don't have emergency managers in like literally every city like we do, or every state even.
It's frightening to think about how much better we could be, and our system is so much more robust than other places around the world. Dedicated full-time people to looking at solving problems, big problems, versus I hope this doesn't happen, roll the dice. And in fact, Pete Gaynor on Tell Us How to Make It Better podcast, which is part of the Readiness Lab, which we're part of, talked about that as well. People just, pray it doesn't happen, and they don't really do much about it. They don't get the insurances. They just want to follow the status quo, and that's human nature. But at least here in the United States and other places too, UK does it pretty well. But there's a lot of places that don't have this. And so it is plausible that a house gets completely destroyed. One, firefighters never showed up, but eventually the town did.
Bruno can see the future, and he tells the whole family that it's going to happen, that the house is going to fall down, that there's going to be an earthquake. He's the emergency manager. He knows he's analyzed the conditions. He knows what's going to happen, and he tells everyone, and they completely shun him.
Oh my gosh.
And outcast him from the family. So he goes to live in the walls. But he might be our emergency manager here. He tried to help.
Okay, so let's talk about what you can do in the modern world if one, you're noticing cracks, and two, your house,
you notice that your power's starting to deteriorate.
The power's leave you. And three is what happens after the house gets destroyed. I'm going to call out the first one, insurance. There was I'm going to reference another podcast, really great episode about mitigation from disaster class. They had insurance guys on there, and they were talking about how people don't really understand their policy. And one person had a 10% deductible on their $330,000 house, and their roof got ripped off. And to repair the roof was about 30 grand. Well, that's under the deductible, and the family was shocked. Felt like the insurance company was going to help. So like just looking at your deductibles and understanding what's in there, there's things called act of God that talk about natural disasters. Some things are not inherently covered. Sometimes flood isn't covered. Sometimes a wildfire is not covered. sometimes earthquake, right? So just knowing what's in there and then adding to your policy will be much better to fix it in the short term than having to rebuild everything.
Maybe they couldn't have avoided this. Maybe they didn't have the ability to patch or repair all the cracks at one time. But maybe they could have if they wanted. And it looks like they didn't take anything out of the house with them at all. So,
well,
you know,
did they have time?
I mean, only the 50 years before that to maybe decide, hey, this area, maybe they never had the earthquake before, you know? If they never had the earthquake before, maybe they didn't know there was a fault line under the house. Maybe they didn't know.
Speaking of Brazil.
You mean Colombia?
No, Brazil. Brazil has like a really low earthquake zone. And so a few years back, there was a small tremor and it really freaked people out because they just weren't used to earthquakes. We had a lot of fun looking at different perspectives. The emergency manager, possibly from Mirabel. We looked at the stakeholders and the family and the community coming together, and lots of really good applications to emergency management. As always, we want you to please subscribe. Yeah, we're lame. We want you to subscribe, but we're also not lame because we're super cool and you like our podcast. And give us some movie suggestions. We had a total. Oh, here he goes. So our last episode, we said, hey, please share our Instagram post to get a vacuum. And I'm very happy to announce that everybody who shared it has a private account. So we actually don't know who you are. You have to make your account public, or what you can do if you've been listening, make sure to take a picture of you sharing it and DM us if you don't want to make your account public. But we had a couple submissions, and we also, one of the submissions asked us to do Encanto with Aaron, reaching out to you. You're welcome, Aaron. Make sure you check out the Readiness Lab. The Readiness Lab is a podcast network for all things emergency disaster services. Some podcasts are serious, like Disaster Tough, or Tell Us How to Make It Better. But other podcasts are a little more open, Disaster Class, Movie AAR. And so if you're interested in emergency and disaster services, you want to be like Mirabel and not like Abuela, who tries to ignore everything, then learn something from us and reach out to us if you have a movie idea or if you have questions about what we do in our field. We'd love to answer it for you. Put it in the comments below, and we'll make sure that we'll look at every single one of them, and we'll see you for the next movie.
Movie AAR.
Movie AAR.
Movie AAR.